My name is Eva Moore, and for most of my life people mistook my silence for surrender. I'm 34 years old. I'm an ER nurse in St. Louis. I work nights because trauma doesn't sleep, because heart attacks don't care about birthdays, because drunk drivers don't check clocks before they ruin lives. I've held pressure on open arteries while blood soaked through my gloves. I've watched mothers collapse in hospital hallways. I've told strangers the worst news they would ever hear while my own feet blistered inside $12 sneakers. And through all of it, there was only one thing in my life I protected with absolute violence inside my heart. My daughter, Lily, 7 years old. Missing front tooth. Obsessed with sea turtles. She still crawled into my bed during thunderstorms and whispered, "Mommy, make the sky stop yelling." Everything I did was for her. Everything. That's why what happened still feels unreal when I replay it in my head. Not loud. Not explosive. Quiet. That's the part people never understand. The cruelest betrayals happen quietly. That Tuesday started with a 6-car pileup on Interstate 44. Then a stabbing. Then a code blue. Then an elderly man grabbing my wrist before he died and begging me not to let him die alone. 16 hours. By the time I drove home, my body felt hollowed out. My eyes burned from fluorescent lights and stale hospital air. My scrub smelled like antiseptic, sweat, and faint coppery blood. I remember sitting in my driveway for a moment, staring at the porch light. Something felt wrong. Not dramatic. Just wrong. The house was too dark. Too still. I unlocked the front door and immediately noticed the silence. No cartoons. No little footsteps. No Lily singing made-up songs about dolphins. Just the low murmur of voices in the dining room. Then I saw the hallway. Her bedroom door was open. And empty. Not messy. Not disturbed. Empty. Like she had never existed there at all. The pink curtains were gone. Her stuffed animals gone. Her little bookshelf gone. Even the glow-in-the-dark stars she'd stuck to the ceiling had been peeled away. I dropped my bag. I can still hear it hitting the hardwood floor. Slowly, I walked into the room. Bare mattress. Closet hangers swaying slightly. The faint smell of strawberry shampoo still hanging in the air. My heartbeat became so loud I could hear it in my ears. Then my husband's voice floated from the dining room. "Eva, you're home." I turned. Daniel sat calmly at the table with his mother Patricia, his sister Jenna, and his father Walt, eating lasagna. Like it was Thanksgiving. Patricia folded her napkin carefully and gave me this tiny smile I'd hated for 11 years. "We were waiting for you." I stared at them. "Where's Lily?" Nobody answered immediately. That's when fear stopped being fear. It became something colder. Daniel cleared his throat. "She's safe." Safe. People only say safe when something is very wrong. I walked toward the table slowly. "Where is my daughter?" Jenna crossed her arms. "She's with family." "What family?" Patricia sighed dramatically. "Eva, don't make this harder than it needs to be." "Harder?" I looked at Daniel. My husband wouldn't meet my eyes. That terrified me more than anything. Finally he said, very softly, "We voted." I actually laughed. Not because it was funny. Because my brain rejected the sentence. "You what?" Patricia leaned forward like a school principal explaining detention. "We all agreed Lily would be better off living with your sister for a while." I blinked once. Then twice. "My sister lives in Ohio." "Yes," Patricia said. "A more stable environment." I remember every detail after that with horrible clarity. The ticking wall clock. The smell of garlic bread. The yellow stain on Walt's shirt. My own pulse slowing down instead of speeding up. ER nurses are strange under pressure. We become calmer the worse things get. "What exactly are you saying?" I asked. Daniel finally looked at me. "You're never home, Eva." "I work." "You're always working. To pay for this house." Patricia jumped in immediately. "Children need consistency. Structure. Femininity." I looked at her slowly. Femininity. She straightened proudly. "A child shouldn't be raised by someone emotionally absent." Emotionally absent. I had slept in hospital chairs when Lily had pneumonia. I learned how to braid hair from YouTube at 3 in the morning after shifts. I once worked 40 straight hours to afford her private speech therapy after Daniel lost another job, but emotionally absent. Jenna spoke next. We already packed her things. I turned toward her so slowly she actually flinched. You packed my daughter's belongings? She was excited. Jenna lied quickly. That's when I knew Lily hadn't agreed. Because my daughter cried when we donated old clothes. She wouldn't voluntarily leave her room behind. I looked back at Daniel. Where is she? She's at your sister Rachel's place. I pulled out my phone instantly. Patricia held up a hand. She's asleep. I stared at her hand until she lowered it. Then I called anyway. Rachel answered on the second ring, whispering. Eva. Put Lily on the phone. Silence. Then I heard it. Tiny crying. Mama. Every muscle in my body locked. Baby, are you okay? She said you didn't want me anymore. The room disappeared. Everything disappeared except those words. I closed my eyes. When I spoke again, my voice sounded frighteningly calm. Listen carefully, sweetheart. I need you to hear me. I love you more than anyone on this earth. I am coming to get you right now. Okay. Did anyone hurt you? No. Good girl. Stay with Aunt Rachel. I'll be there soon. When I hung up, the dining room was silent. Patricia actually had the audacity to look annoyed. You shouldn't undermine the transition. Transition. I looked at Daniel one last time. Did you tell my daughter I didn't want her? He swallowed. We thought it would make it easier. Something inside me died right there. Not dramatically. Quietly. Like a candle going out. I nodded once. Then I asked the question that changed everything. Who exactly voted? Patricia frowned. What? You said you voted. Walt chuckled awkwardly. It was unanimous. I looked around the table. My husband. His parents. His sister. 4 people sitting in my dining room deciding where my daughter belonged. Inside my house. The house I inherited from my grandmother 3 years earlier. The house everybody forgot to read paperwork on. I smiled for the first time that night. Small. Polite. Deadly. I see. Daniel looked relieved by my calmness. Eva, once you rest, you'll understand this is temporary. No, I interrupted softly. I understand perfectly. I picked up my car keys. I'm going to get Lily. Patricia nodded smugly. Good. Then tomorrow we can discuss custody arrangements. Custody. I almost admired the confidence. Almost. I drove 2 hours to Ohio in complete silence. Rachel opened the door looking terrified. Eva, I swear I didn't know. It's okay. Then Lily launched herself into my arms, so hard she nearly knocked me backward. Her little body was trembling. I carried her to the car without another word. Halfway home, she fell asleep clutching my scrub top. At a gas station while she slept, I made 3 phone calls. First to my lawyer. Second to hospital administration. Third to a locksmith. Then I drove home. I got there at 4:12 a.m. The locksmith's truck was already outside. Daniel opened the door wearing sweatpants, confused. Then he saw the locksmith. Then the 2 uniformed officers standing behind me. What's going on? I handed him an envelope. Inside were copies of the deed. My grandmother's trust. And the postnuptial agreement he apparently never bothered reading when he signed it 8 years earlier. His face drained of color page by page. This house, I said calmly, is solely owned by me. Patricia appeared behind him. What is this? I looked directly at her. This is me voting. The locksmith walked past them. Daniel panicked. Eva, stop. No. You can't throw us out. I can. Patricia's voice rose sharply. After everything this family has done for you. You told my daughter her mother didn't want her. Silence. Cold, horrible silence. The officers stepped forward slightly. Not aggressive. Just present. Daniel's voice cracked. Eva, please. I stared at him for a long moment. You participated in removing my child from her home without my consent. It wasn't like that. You packed her toys. Nobody spoke. Because there was nothing left to say. Over the next 40 minutes, their entire world collapsed quietly. No screaming. No broken dishes. Just paperwork. Bags. Keys surrendered one by one. Patricia cried first. Jenna cursed me under her breath. Walt refused to look at me. Daniel begged. But the most satisfying moment came right before he walked out the door. He looked around the house like he was seeing it for the first time. The crown molding, the staircase, the antique chandelier. All inherited. All mine. You knew, he whispered. Yes. You let us think. That it was yours too? I tilted my head slightly. You never asked. Then I opened the door wider. And my husband walked out of my house carrying garbage bags full of clothes while Dawn rose behind him. But the real twist came 3 weeks later. Because people like Patricia never stop. She filed for grandparents' visitation rights. Claimed I was unstable. Overworked. Emotionally negligent. She thought a judge would side with the sweet church-going grandmother over the exhausted ER nurse. She forgot one thing. Hospitals document everything. So do security systems. And unlike them, I keep records. Every text. Every voicemail. Every Ring camera clip. Including the footage of Patricia entering Lily's room carrying boxes while Lily cried and repeatedly asked for her mother. The courtroom went silent when the video played. Then came the audio recording. Daniel's voice. Clear as glass. She'll get over it eventually. The judge looked horrified. Patricia actually tried crying afterward. Too late. Petition denied. Restraining order granted. Temporary custody awarded solely to me pending divorce proceedings. Daniel lost almost everything after that. Turns out judges react poorly to parents conspiring to remove children without consent. Funny. Who knew? Now it's just me and Lily in that old house. Sometimes after night shifts, I still stand in her doorway for a moment before bed, just to see her there. Safe. One night recently, she looked up sleepily and asked, "Mommy?" "Yeah, baby. Are the bad people gone?" I brushed hair from her forehead. "Yes." Then she smiled and went back to sleep. That was the moment I realized something important. Revenge doesn't always look like destruction. Sometimes it looks like a locked front door, a quiet house, a child sleeping peacefully in her own bed, and the people who tried to take her away standing outside in the cold, finally understanding they were never as powerful as they believed. A month later, Daniel came back one last time. Not to apologize. Not to fight. Just to stand outside the gate in the rain, staring at the house he thought he controlled. I watched him through the kitchen window while Lily-colored sea turtles at the table behind me. He looked smaller somehow. Like the weight of what he'd done had finally settled into his bones. Then my daughter looked up and asked softly, "Who's that?" I didn't even turn around again. Nobody important anymore. And for the first time in years, the house felt completely peaceful.